In the past 5 years, UHP has had roughly 500 rescues and recoveries across the state of Utah. High in the mountains, down in the desert, and sometimes on extremely precarious land formations. Well, tonight, exclusive video you will only see here on KSL as we take you back to September when a routine recovery nearly took the lives of 7 rescuers.
10,000 feet up and maneuvering the side of a cliff. You all know that saying in life, it's better to be lucky than good. Well, some days.
What happened?
You better be both. It was September 8th, 2015, and this 43-year-old mother and wife was just one hike away.
That was her thing. That was what she did for herself.
From reaching her own personal summit. Carrie Crowley had 59 hikes under her belt.
Just being in nature.
And number 60?
She felt like she was going to make it. This was it.
Well, that was to be the crown jewel, Jacob's Ladder and Lone Peak, a difficult hike. But when you take in that view, oh, it's hard to say it wasn't worth it. But on that day, no matter how good of a hiker Carrie was,
KSL's top story this hour, still no sign of a missing hiker, long overdue.
She was likely praying for a little luck.
And search and rescue team members are going over many of these trails on foot.
Now, nobody knows exactly what caused Carrie to fall that day. The only clues coming from these photographs taken from her camera just moments before.
So, I don't know. It's hard to think about. I can't help but look and think about my wife.
Online, there's a family blog retracing Carrie's final steps, showing the route she took, where it's believed she fell, and the 300 feet below.
It's sheer cliffs. It's cliffs everywhere.
Where her body was eventually found.
Where she was, there was only a small spot where they could get her. I mean, it's a cliff. It's a big cliff.
And because of that terrain, it was determined the safest and most effective way to bring her body down.
This one was
to send a helicopter up.
I hesitate to say routine.
The pilot, Kent Harrison.
Flying?
Yeah, flying.
20 years?
Well, he's done this before, with dozens of perfectly flown recoveries and rescues attached to his name.
This is something that just is almost a weekly or a monthly event for us to get into this type of scenario. This particular one just took a very dramatic turn.
10 to 15 feet. It looks like inches, but it's the amount of space between the blades and the face of the mountain. And as Harrison hovers to his target spot, hunched over on the edge of the cliff,
it was in a very precarious spot,
is Salt Lake County Search and Rescue, a team of men highly skilled and trained.
It's not unsafe until it is.
What's about to play out here in the next 5 seconds?
My mom freaks out every time she hears the stories.
Will freak out anyone's mom.
We heard a cannon go off. It sounded like an explosion.
And my first thought was I need to crash this helicopter.
I hear a crack next to me and see the tail fly over our heads.
I had no idea if the helicopter was going to fly for more than a few seconds at that point.
This video here proving it did. Harrison somehow regaining control, avoiding the jagged rocks, and landing that broken chopper in an open field. Now at face value,
what happened?
A moment of experience and skill. But when you carefully break it down, that moment was maybe something more. 2 different cameras, 2 slightly different angles. Watch here, and you can see that orange safety rope used in the recovery, and right when it starts to tighten up, gets caught by the rotor. But I want you to take it back there, slow that down, and pause it right there. Now you see the rope, it's not cut, but rather caught and pulled by the blade. And if that rope makes a full rotation, it would have wrapped itself around the main rotor and disaster. Instead, an almost impossible pitch and catch to the tail. One rope shredded, the other tossed out in the open away from the blade.
It just caught right here on this and pulled that off.
Some might call that luck.
And allowed the main rotor blade to be free and clear again.
A fraction of a moment where the blades perfectly lined up. A fraction that went from certain tragedy to giving this pilot a fighting chance.
He saved everybody's life that day, without question.
In my estimation, probably saved all 5 lives that were involved, was that little twist of luck.
You know, there's a saying in life, it is better to be lucky than good. For the family of Carrie Crowley, looking back,
she was everything to me.
They may have had a little of both. Lucky for the years that they got to spend together. And the good,
Thank you. Just thank you.
well, that's what they witnessed from a group of strangers risking their own lives
And thank you for coming to our rescue.
to bring home the one life already lost.
Now, in the media, we often cover these types of rescues and recoveries and tell it in a way that's very matter of fact. Emergency crews go in, they make a rescue, and they come back out. Well, this video here obviously showing the complexity of these operations and just how skilled and brave these men and women really are. As for the helicopter, it was so damaged around the main rotor there, it cannot be flown anymore. They do have a new one in, but that one's done.
Wow. Did you see in just a split second how things can change like that?
I know. They're very humble, though. Those guys are so skilled. They put their lives on the line every time they go up. Very humble about what they do and say, hey, we're doing our job.
All right, well, they did
Impressive.
it well.
Incredible video. Yeah.